Today we're going to talk about creating story maps to help you plan. When we read fictional stories, we use a road map to navigate through the story, just like we use a map to navigate when going from point A to point B in a car. So we know that stories have a character that has a need or that wants something, but then something gets in the way of that. So they have to overcome that problem in order to get what they want, or sometimes not get what they want. So this right here is a sample of a story map. Now, our story maps start with our beginning, and in the beginning, we introduce our characters, we introduce the setting, and we give some other background information. We introduce what our need is or what our want is, what the character wants. And then when we get up here to the climax is whatever your problem is, whenever it gets to a point where something crazy happens. So something that changes the story. So then this part of our story map would be when the problem is getting solved. And then we would have the ending of our story. So what I want us to think about today, and we're going to do this as a class, is we're going to think about our teacher text for a moment. So when thinking about making a story map for that one, we know that Sophie is a little girl and she really wants a puppy. So she does all of these chores and all of these things to show her parents that she's responsible. But they continue to say no until one snowy day when they don't have school, her dad brings home a dog, and it's an older dog, it's not a puppy. And at the end of the story, we find out that her parents had been doing research to find a dog that was older but well trained so that it was not as much work on Sophie or them. So what I want us to do is what I want you to do is I want you to, in your writer's notebook, map out this teacher text story. And then I want you to draw another story map and put some different scenes on there. So maybe she doesn't want a puppy. Maybe she wants a cat. Maybe she wants a hamster. So you could change the animal. You could change her want. You could change the way that she gets it. So the climax of our story is the snowy day whenever the her dad shows up at the door with the dog. So maybe you change that and she's out sledding and they find a stray dog. So I want you to come up with a story map that goes along with our teacher text, but then also I want you to come up with one alternative story map that you can share with the class. So go ahead and hit the pause button and take some time to do this in your writer's notebook. Okay, so now that you've had some time to do that, you should have came up with your story map and a story map, an alternative story map. Um, our alternative story maps will not all be the same, and that's where you can get ideas for drafting different pieces. So whenever authors are writing, we don't always write one draft for our story. Sometimes we draft a few different stories, and then we may ask other people to read those stories and decide which one, or maybe take a vote about which one they like the best. So that is one way that you can use story maps, is to help you plan out your draft, but also plan for other drafts. And your story maps do not have to vary greatly. You can just change one or two scenes in each story map. So what I want you to do today is, as you go out to your writing time, I want you to create a story map for your own writing piece. Lay out your big events on the map using sticky notes, so that way you can change the events around if you would like to. And then I want you to come up with an alternative story map. So maybe just changing the character, maybe changing the want in the story, maybe changing how the story ends. And then at the end of the class today, we'll share those two story maps so that some of you can get some feedback on which one your classmates like the best. So go ahead and go out today and work on your story maps.